A little brief hiatus for me. Welcome back. You were in the jungle. I'm Matt Edwards. Took some time off the internet, took some time away from the podcast, had a little bit of fun. And yesterday, while on my final day of vacation, I woke up to all kinds of alerts. I had the do not disturb on at night. I highly recommend it. But once I woke up, the phone was blowing up. If you have not heard, the Bengals did what so many people not really paying attention apparently, thought was not possible to do. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, both signing 4-year extensions on Monday on St. Patrick's Day. We are in. We are locked in, and the best receiving duo resides in Cincinnati for another 4 years. Before we get too deep into this, I do want to point out one thing. If you've listened to this show for the last year or so, and then before, I took a little time off when I became a dad, but if you listen to the show, I told you when the Bengals went on that Super Bowl run in Joe Burrow's second year, I think it was obvious to anyone who's followed this franchise long enough that we were entering the golden age of Cincinnati Bengals football. It continues right now with this dynamic duo at receiver. Let me tell you why. Two things. One, they've got the best receiver in football, and they've got him for another 4 years. He's already played for. He's already on his way to being one of the greatest to ever play this game. That's one. But two, and this is a bigger one to me, because with Jamar Chase, I think anyone who actually follows the team never had a doubt that Jamar Chase was going to get an extension. Jamar Chase was going to remain a Cincinnati Bengal. The interesting one to me here is T. Higgins, and here's why. T. Higgins, franchise tag last year. The Bengals slapped the tag on him again this year, of course, with the intention of extending him. Couple things on this. T. Higgins took less money to play in Cincinnati. He could have got a little bit more elsewhere. Maybe not a whole lot more, but undoubtedly could have got more elsewhere. He could have been the star of the show somewhere else in the NFL. He is going to be Robin to Jamar Chase's Batman in Cincinnati. That's just the way it is when you play next to the best wide receiver in the NFL. So he takes a little less. He's fine with being the quote-unquote number 2. More on that in a second. And he's been playing banged up the last couple years, despite the fact that he really didn't have a lot of guaranteed money out there in front of him. This is the golden age of Cincinnati football. A guy with his caliber of talent, prior to when Joe Burrow got to Cincinnati, might have just said, screw you guys. I haven't always been treated maybe the way a star receiver should the last few years. But he likes the organization. He likes the direction it's headed in. He likes the locker room. He likes his teammates. He likes his head coach. And therefore, T. Higgins stays in Cincinnati, takes a little bit less than he could have got on the open market. We are in the golden age of Cincinnati Bengals football. Things like that did not happen to this team just 7 or 8 years ago. Guys like that did not give teams like the Bengals, the way they've operated, the benefit of the doubt. And I'll go ahead and just get into right now with people. I've seen some people saying, man, that's a lot of number for a number 2 receiver. What does that even mean? He's not, when you say he's a number 2 receiver, you're kind of lumping T. Higgins in with other number 2 receivers. He's a number 1 receiver on 3/4 of the teams in the league. He's a top 15 receiver in the league. So just to be clear on that, he is a good, I don't know what I want to say, a good value when you're making $28 million a year. It's a very fair price. Let's say that. And T. Higgins wanted to stay in Cincinnati, probably could have got another couple million a year elsewhere, but does something we don't see all that often and decides he wants to stay in a place that he likes. He wants to stay with teammates he believes can win a Super Bowl, and he's doing just that in Cincinnati. So, and the fact that he's cool with being Robin to Batman, I mean, we got to give T all the credit in the world. We have got to put him up there with, I don't know, did someone ever make a list of nicest dudes to ever wear black and orange? Because if so, T. Higgins has to go right up there. He loves jellyfish. He's happy that there's another Shake Shack coming to Cincinnati. What do you not like about T. Higgins? Now, Jamar Chase, he was inevitable. We really don't need to go into it too much. Anyone who didn't think Jamar was not going to get paid, just kind of one of those people who needs to feel like they have to say something to try and sound smart. Jamar was inevitable. He was always going to be a Cincinnati Bengal. T, a little more interesting, as I just pointed out. And bear with me on the voice. I've had a cold for like 3 weeks. It just won't go away. It goes away for 3 days at a time. It comes back. It's not cool, but it is what it is. We'll deal with it. So let's talk a little bit about the guy. By the way, the numbers, in case you need a refresher: Jamar getting a 4-year extension worth $161 million. T. Higgins also getting a 4-year extension worth $115 million. Neither guy's going hungry, as Joe Burrow should get a lot of credit here for pushing this franchise forward, which is what we'll get into now. So the guy throwing them the ball, his name's Joe Burrow. He plays quarterback for the Bengals, wears number 9. So he kind of did something here, and the people, it's kind of weird how even before he was drafted to Cincinnati, there was kind of the Carson Palmer link. Carson Palmer did this media tour saying if he was Joe Burrow, he would have doubts about playing for the Bengals, blah, 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 whatever. Carson Palmer can do what he wants, say what he wants. He clearly could not do some things in Cincinnati. He clearly did not have the abilities that Joe Burrow has because the proof is there, right? Palmer couldn't, you know what I'm trying to say. But let's talk about Joe Burrow. He should get the credit for pushing this franchise in the direction, and he did something Carson Palmer wanted to do but quite was unable to do. So legend has it that Carson Palmer, when he demanded his trade, he wanted more say in some bigger decisions. And I won't go into the specifics because I do not know for a 100% fact that they are true, but I've got it on really good authority that Carson Palmer wanted some decisions, some say in some of the decisions that were going on. He was told he would get in on those decisions. These were private conversations. He was told he would be a part of the conversation. And some of those decisions, one in particular, he learned via ESPN. He saw it on TV, was unhappy. That's when everything unraveled with him. So in private, Carson wanted more say, didn't get it, forced his way out. Joe Burrow probably made some of these things privately known, but he also had the professionalism and how else do you put it? He earned it. He earned the ability to go up to the podium after the Monday night win in Dallas throughout Super Bowl week and to say, hey, we need these guys. He didn't slam the organization. He didn't talk down on anyone. He didn't mention the Bengals past. He just said, if we want to win, these are the guys we need. We have them right here. We got to pay them. They've earned it. And it worked. It worked. And we've all, listen, here's the difference. When Carson Palmer went back and did what he did, and some people have even said give Carson Palmer some credit for kind of building the bridge for Burrow to be able to do what he's done the past few months. That's fair. I think that's absolutely fair. I think the Brown family has to say, hey, we had a franchise quarterback once. We had a Heisman-winning number 1 overall pick once who was looking pretty sharp, especially before that 2005 wildcard game. And we kind of blew it because we didn't listen to him. We've all worked with a guy like Joe Burrow, right? Like, he might not be the boss, but he's so great at what he does, and he commands so much respect that the boss knows they have to listen to them, and they can say things to the boss that most other people could not because they've earned that right, and the boss also knows the business would go under without them. That's Joe Burrow. He's absolutely earned the right to go and say the things he said, and it worked out. Bengals learned their lesson with Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer, like it or not, played a bit of a footnote in all of this because there was a time 20 years ago, not quite 20 years ago, probably closer to 15. I was in college, so yeah, it would have been about 13, 14 years ago. God, I'm old. Where the Bengals had, it feels insulting to compare the two because as good as Carson was, and he did a lot in turning the franchise around, he was nowhere. Joe Burrow had more playoff wins on his first ever game than Carson ever had. But he did plant some seeds 15 years ago, whatever it was, that played a role in T and Jamar, Mike Gesicki, and it looks like Trey Hendrickson. Nothing's done yet, but it seems like things are going the right way. Certainly planted some seeds that played a role in what we're seeing now as the Bengals give these guys the deals that they deserve, the ones that they've earned, and it should lead to a Super Bowl eventually, right? That's the goal here. I mean, the Bengals, Joe Burrow put the ball in the front office's court. They've hit it back to him. They said, all right, you got what you want. Now you go out there and you get us the Super Bowl on the field. It feels like a good relationship. I know the way I said it probably sounds a little contentious. I don't feel that way at all. I think there's a lot of adults in the room, a lot of people who understand the business side of it, and that if you want to win on the field, you have to operate as a business that wants to win on the field, and Joe Burrow has pushed his team to do that. So it feels good because maybe there's an argument that there was a time that T. Higgins did not end up back in Cincinnati. And I've made the argument on this show for reasons it did not make sense for him to end up back in Cincinnati. But he is going to. You can't be upset about it. The Bengals now don't have to use one of their premium draft picks on a wide receiver. They are set at that position for the next 4 years, and we are in good shape there. Now, that's kind of the next thing, though, right? The Bengals have not drafted well. That's been documented throughout the last few episodes of this show I've done. If you want to look at the failures that the Bengals have had, it goes back to that the last few years. Guys they've drafted in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, there's been some, but for the most part, no impact players there. Amarius Mims looks like he's going to be one. Let's hope so, because they've got to start hitting on some of these guys. Myles Murphy has to become a guy. Dax Hill has to. They don't have to be Pro Bowlers. They just have to be guys you don't have to worry about on Sundays. And you don't feel great about it right now. Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner, these are guys taken in the second round. Got to get something out of them. Got to be better. And they have to continue that now because you're in a position where you're going to need, you look at the Eagles, they had like 4 rookies starting making contributions on defense. The Bengals are going to need that. If the Bengals want to get where they want to go, which is back to playing a football game in February against the NFC champion, they got to draft better because the drafts have been dog crap lately. Got to be better. Simple as that. Now, let's give the franchise a little bit of credit because it was easy to pounce on them the last few weeks. Why aren't these deals getting done? What's taking so long? Give these guys... Negotiations take time. They just do. And to get them done right takes time. I mean, you look at what's going on with Trey Hendrickson now. The Bengals said, we don't know. Well, go see. Go out there, man. I mean, that to me sounds like a good employer. You ask for a raise, the boss says, well, we're not quite there. And they say, well, we think you're worth it. And you say, well, okay, well, go. And if you can get another employer to pay you that, then we'll talk. Didn't happen. Did not happen. So yeah, of course, the draft capital played a role, obviously. But you can't just cave into every command, right? And if you look at the teams that do, look at the teams that have been aggressive in free agency this year. Washington and Chicago are the two that stick out to me. And yeah, Washington got to the NFC Championship, but for the most part, those two teams have stunk the last 10 years. You look at the teams who have been aggressive in free agency and who traditionally are aggressive in free agency, they're not the teams that win Super Bowls. The teams that win Super Bowls are the ones that draft well. Philadelphia, New England over the years, obviously Tom Brady helped. Kansas City's had a lot of contributors on defense who are rookies. They're those teams and they're the ones who see free agents, maybe those mid-tier guys, and they take them from average to good. That's what the Bengals are going to have to do. So just being nuts in free agency, it doesn't really work out. I know, the teams... You know who wins March and April every year? The Cleveland Browns. The Browns are probably going to take Shadur Sanders next year. Everyone will talk about him. People love to talk about the Browns from March through June, up until September, into November, when eventually they're 3-6 at best, right? So, could the Bengals have been a little more aggressive? Yeah, they definitely should have signed Jamar Chase last offseason to save some money, and then they could pay a guard. Not everything's going to be perfect. But at the same time, the teams who rush things, the teams who throw just money willy-nilly like Jimmy Haslam does, like Washington has, they typically don't work out. So at the end of the day, I think the Bengals got this right. It's easy to rip on them. It's easy to say, well, you could have saved more money with Jamar. Whatever. They got the deal done. They drafted the right guy at number 5. They did a lot of things right. At the end of the day, the best receiver in the NFL plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, wants to play for the Cincinnati Bengals, and is happy about it. That's really all that matters. There's going to be some bumps in the negotiations when you're going through these things. So you got your elite talent locked in T and Jamar and Joe. There's your core right there. You got to a Super Bowl with those guys, and you've upgraded in certain other positions. The offensive line's a little bit better, still not great. The defense obviously needs a lot of work. But anyone criticizing the move, do you know how stupid you sound? Do you know how dumb it sounds to be like, you paid those two guys? What are you talking about? You paid the best receiving duo maybe we've seen since Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison? Yeah, those are the type of guys you pay. When you get good talent in the building and they want to be there, you pay them. You don't go outrageous. You don't give him Albert Haynesworth or Deshaun Watson money. You play it smart. But these are guys who you want in the building. I mean, it's simple as this. Are the Bengals a better team with T. Higgins or without him? They're better with them. And it's easy to say, well, you could have signed someone else. Yeah, you could have, or you could keep the guy who you know is really good. And you can try to draft someone who's going to work out. That's what they have to do. At the end of the day, it didn't matter whether or not they signed T. You were going to have to draft well. And they haven't. So that's always been the big thing. That's the cherry that the Bengals, that's not even the cherry. I mean, that's the other half of the entree that the Bengals need to figure out here is get some guys in there who can contribute on rookie contracts. Simple as that. I thought about too, like, why not? If you're giving out this type of money, can you maybe squeeze out a couple more million and hire some more scouts, get some more eyeballs on these college players, make damn sure that you are getting the right guys in the building? Because so far it's been rough. Sure would be nice to have that 3rd round pick from last year, wouldn't it? Not looking very good right now. Yeah, simple as that. Simple as that. Hire some more scouts. Maybe I'll write a letter to Mr. Brown. So that's where we're at. The Trey Hendrickson thing. By the way, I was planning on recording this after the press conference. It was scheduled for 2 p.m. It got moved to 3:30 with T and Jamar. And they were on that private plane, which looks pretty cool. Pretty cool to fly private when you're making a combined, $70 million a year. So Trey Hendrickson, it looks like things are moving in the right direction with him and the Bengals. Obviously, we'll see where that ends up. But again, 35 sacks the last 2 years, 17.5 sacks back-to-back years. If you can get him for another 2 or 3 years, come on, man. Give him another defensive lineman. Give him another running mate. Can Myles Murphy be that guy? Can Cam Sample come back from his injury and be a guy who can contribute? Joseph Ossai's back. Just need some of those guys to go from one level to the next. Need Cam Taylor-Britt of 2023, not 2024. Need Dax Hill to pop and show a little bit of what he was. I mean, there's a lot of... But that's the thing. That's the thing I ripped on the Bengals for last year. They did a lot of hoping instead of a lot of ensuring. With players like Jamar and T, you're ensuring the receiver position. Go get some guys in the draft you're positive about. I don't want a guy with a mile-high ceiling like Jermaine Burton. Give me a guy who you're confident can start for the next 6 years in the NFL and be average to above average. I would rather have that at this point because on the other side of the ball or behind them on the offensive line, you've got a quarterback in Joe Burrow who is going to elevate everyone's game. You don't need to swing for the fences here in this draft. You need to hit singles and doubles. Simple as that. So we'll see what happens. And then Trey's the guy on the other side of the ball, and they're going to get him. So that'll be cool. One more nugget that I literally wrote the word Spain in my note here. It looks like the Bengals and the Dolphins might end up playing in Spain this year. And I should have looked this up before I came on the podcast. Podcast is called In the Jungle, by the way. I'm gonna try to do some more. It looks like the mayor, is it Madrid? Yeah. Does Madrid have a mayor? I've been to Madrid, but I did not happen to meet the mayor. But it looks like they could be in Spain, so that would be a cool. So Jay Morrison, who I quote just about every episode, says, bumping this after the Madrid mayor allegedly leaked that it will be Bengals versus Dolphins in Spain on November 16th. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. So there's that. That's all I got. We'll see what ends up happening at this press conference. I felt fine doing it before. They're probably going to say a lot of things like, this is where we want to be. We're excited to be together for another 4 years. We love playing here. We want to bring a championship to Cincinnati. There you go. And let's hope they do, because my God, is it awesome to be living in the golden age of the Cincinnati Bengals when guys like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase want to play here. And they've got arguably the best quarterback on the planet, certainly one of the top 5 back there slinging them the football. So that's all I got for you. I would like to tell you when I'm going to be back. I don't know. I'll try to do at least one every other week. We got the draft 5 weeks away now, so I don't get into the draft like I used to. I used to go hardcore. I had a mock draft one year where I got more picks right than Todd McShay, and I will brag about it for the rest of my life. But man, the guys who do the draft, the guys and girls who do the draft and do it right, takes a lot of time. I simply don't have that amount of time on my hands at this point in my life. So I'll look at other stuff. I'll talk about it. But the in-depth stuff, there's a lot of good people out there. Maybe I'll look some of them up, share some of their stuff, see if I can get them to come on, and we'll go from there. But yeah, draft's 5 weeks away, and the Bengals have to do well, to put it mildly. So that's it. My name's Matt Edwards. I am on Twitter at Matt Edwards. I haven't said much recently, but if you just want to see what I look like, you can do that, or you're probably doing it on YouTube right now. The show's called In the Jungle. If you like the episode, send it to a friend. If you don't, that's fine as well. We'll see you back again here soon on In the Jungle.